and welcome to another edition of End Time Talks. And today I want to talk about Revelation chapter 14 and the two angels. So let's go through the scripture. I looked, and there before me was a white cloud. Seated on the cloud was one like a son of man, with a crown of gold on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. So we already know right now from a few hints that this is going to be the Son of Man, aka Jesus. He's sitting on a white cloud. He's got a crown of gold. It's very obvious. Some people might argue against this, that they're just regular angels, but we can go into further detail later. Then another angel came out of the temple and called in a loud voice to him who was sitting on the cloud, "Take your sickle and reap, because the time has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." So he who was sitting on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. Another angel came out of the temple in heaven. He too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel who had charge of fire came to the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle, Take your sharp sickle and gather clusters of grapes from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe." The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into the great wine presses of God's wrath. They were trampled in the wine press outside of the city, and blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as a horse's bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. So a few things I want to bring up here. There's two angels with sickles. So a sickle would look something like this, and then it would have, oh boy, please excuse my drawings, and it would look like this, and you would grab it like that, and okay, here's angel one. He's got a golden crown. It's a really nice, beautiful crown. And okay, here's the other angel. I'll try to make this quick. All right, let's draw his head. He's got a little bit of a weirder head. I guess I'm not giving this angel as much love, but anyways, the two angels are two separate beings, and there are some hints for who they are. So we've got a golden crown, a G crown. We've got a cloud, right? He's sitting on a cloud. So I'm sure a toddler could draw better than me, but hey, you work with what you got, right? So and he's he's also called one like a son of man. So son of man. And there's only one person this could be. Yikes, that's the best I can do. Jesus. I think that this is Jesus. All right, now let's talk about the second angel. All right, so let me draw a little divider between these two so you guys don't get confused. As I was saying, this second angel, who could he be? That is the question. Who is the second angel? Let's take a look at what it says. Another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel who had charge of fire came from the altar and called loud voice to him who had a sharp sickle, "Take your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the grapes from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe." So the angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath. They were trampled in the winepress outside the city. The blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as a horse's bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. Why did I reread this whole thing again? Well, because there are some key points that are very important to read. All right, so let's compare the harvest. For the harvest of the earth is ripe. was for the Son of Man. And the other one is the clusters of the grapes from the earth's vines, because its grapes are ripe. So here we have the harvest of the earth, and here we have the clusters of the grapes from the earth's vine. So I, as you've probably figured out, am not a theologian. I, have only read books that others have written. But to me, just looking at this, I think that this is referring to people of the earth, people who are not part of God's children. And I say that because this group of people are part of the harvest. This group of people don't seem to be part of the harvest. They're ripe, and they're not part of the harvest. This reminds me of a parable Jesus said, where he talks about how a man planted in his vineyard, and his enemy came in the middle of the night and spread seeds of, I think it was like planted weeds or something like that. So then he had his angels take and pull up everything and sift through everything from the good and the bad wheat, something like that. And then the weeds, the bad, the what they didn't want, what was not part of the harvest, they threw in the furnace and destroyed. So that is obviously referring to people who will go to heaven or hell. And my voice is probably cracking because I'm super sick, but I like doing this. So anyways, so some of these people are going to be followers of Christ and some are not. So who is the other angel? Well, when this angel swings his sickle and gathers his grapes, it goes into the great winepress of God. They're trampled in the winepress outside the city, and the blood flows. I don't think that there are too many great details on this. Sorry about that. But we can tell that whoever this guy is, he is going to harvest the grapes that are not a part of God's children. And they are going to go into the winepress of God's wrath. So what angel would want you to go to hell? Or maybe he doesn't want you, but what angel would do that? I can only think of one that I think has this level of authority and would do this, because we don't know his motive. We don't know if he wants to or if he's just following orders. We do know that Satan does exactly what God tells him to do. We do know that this angel seems to have quite a bit of authority. The only part that confuses me is this angel comes out of a temple in heaven, whereas another angel comes who had charge of fire. So another angel had charge of fire, came from the altar to him who had the sharp sickle. So, okay, so angel number 2 comes out of the temple with the sharp sickle. Angel number 3, angel number 1 is the Son of Man. Angel number 2 is a second angel that comes out of a temple and in a loud voice tells him to reap. Angel number 3 is our second angel with the sharp sickle. He's told by angel number 4 to reap. So angel number 3 has power over fire. Angel number 2, it doesn't really say anything about him. Why would this mention this third angel here that speaks to the second sharp sickle angel? Why would it mention that he has charge of fire? What is important about that? Well, I would say that a lot of times when fire is brought up in the Bible, it's never really something, it's not peaceful, it's not enjoyment. It's typically goes hand in hand with fury or anger or God's wrath is the first thing I think of. You know, it could even be for cleansing, but I don't think of fire as something that's peaceful or happy. So I'm gonna go with that. This angel, the angel with the second angel with the sharp sickle, the second sharp sickle angel. This angel, I think, is the Son of Man. And I think that this is going to be referring to the final battle that is going to occur when Jesus comes back for his second coming. Let's talk about this last part right here. They were trampled in the winepress outside of the city, and the blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as the horses' bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. All right. So let's get rid of that question mark. Okay. We know he's going to swipe his sickle, and there's going to be lots and lots of blood. Okay. So let's look at this, and let's take an imagination. What does a wine press look like? From what I understand, it would look something like this, almost like a box, like a sandbox. Okay? You would trample the inside of this with your feet, I guess, or a piece of wood. I don't actually know how they would. Oh, yikes. Okay, I guess I kind of messed that up. I don't know how they would actually trample the grapes when they would make wine. But you could use your feet. You could use something like that, right? And, yikesers. Okay. Trying to make this look as good as I can for you guys. All right. Let me just, sorry. It can be hard to draw and talk at the same time. Okay. That's about as good as I can make it. And then I would say there'd be like a little door that's like right here that, I guess I'll color black because, you know, it's like, it would be behind this area right here, and it swings open like this. Hang on, let me undo that. It swings open like this, or this way. And I guess it could even go the other way. It could go out. It could even be like it even could slide like up and down. But the key point is you would have a wine press with some kind of thing that would be here while you trample whatever is inside of here. And it would fill up with the juices or the water. And then when you open this door, hang on, let me do that. So bad. I hope you guys aren't getting a headache. You probably are, but thanks for bearing through it. The water would rush out like this, and it would just gush out. You know, in my opinion, water tends to flow in a circle. I'm sure there's some people who are experts in this, some of those meteorology majors or scientists who study water. But keep in mind that it would flow up to a horse's bridles. So like, you know, kind of like up there, and it would just kind of, and it would be dark because, you know, it's blood. And this water would flow, this blood would flow out up to a horse's bridle. So how high is a horse? Horses are freaking tall, man. Okay, they're like, they can easily, like, if you measure to the top of their back, they can easily be like 8 feet. They're tall. I'm gonna say it's safe to say the bridle is about here. I'm gonna say it's safe to say like 5 feet. 5 feet. So the water is going to flow up to about 5 feet, and it's going to flow out for about 1,600 stadia. I don't remember what 1,600 stadia is, but I did look into some of the math for this, and it's just not an exact science because we don't know how the blood is going to flow out. We know where it's going to flow out. I think it's going to be in some valley or something. I don't have it memorized. I do try to do this just off the top of my head. I try not to like have everything prepared beforehand because I just want to try and go by the Spirit. Hopefully that doesn't annoy people, but I'm just trying something different. Anyways, it's going to go up to 5 feet and it's going to flow out. So this first part of the blood that flows out is 5 feet high, right? Obviously, it's going to die out and spread out. How far is it going to spread out? How far will it go? Well, I did some math earlier, and the best I could do is I would say it's somewhere between, and this is a rough estimate, 100 million if it's a narrow path. If it's narrow, like a highway. 100 billion if it's a circle. Sorry. And just to clarify, that's, people. How many people would this take to fill this up? So John saw, and I assume it's more the circle. And it's probably a sort of half circle because we don't know how far this extends out. So maybe the blood could like come up to here and bounce against that wall. Maybe it would just like pour from the sky straight onto the ground. But I would say, 1600 stadia, if you find the distance of that, you turn that into oh, sorry, it's here at the bottom. It's 180 miles. So, if you did a circle like this for 180 miles, you could do pi r squared, and then you could do d divided by 2 equals r, and you could plug in the equations, and, oh, sorry, I think it's 2 pi r. Yeah. Sorry, 2 pi r. You could plug in the equations and then you could get how much blood was in this. And then you could figure out how much blood is in each person. I did all this. Find out how much blood is in each person, and then find out if you're looking at, let me get a new, well, okay. So you want to know, so say this is the ground, right? This is like grass and stuff. How high does the blood flow from the ground? Oh my gosh. I'm trying to get a stylus. I'm going to order it soon. So my drawing should be a lot better. But how high is the blood going to be? Is it going to be like, a centimeter? Is it going to be a millimeter? That's the best job I can do with a millimeter. A millimeter? This is not an exact science. I even looked up academic papers and scientific journals, and there is no, it depends on so many things. It depends on the person, how thick your blood is, how much water you have. It could even depend on like how hot or cold it is. So there's no exact number for this. So you kind of have to just estimate it. But from what I found, in general, it's going to be somewhere from 100 million if it's narrow. Like if where it flows into is just a sort of valley and a lot of the blood is able to seep down into the ground. But if you do all the blood on a concrete surface where it can't seep into the ground, it would be over 100 billion to fill in a full circle. So I think this is really significant, and it tells us a lot. I don't think there's any way we could have been in the end times more than 100 years ago. And I'll tell you why. I think that there just weren't enough people. There weren't enough people to fulfill this. I'm not saying I want this to happen. I know some people believe that this is just, I know some people believe this is just that this is not literal, but I personally think that this is how much blood John saw. So whether you agree that this will really happen, this is how much blood John saw in his vision. And I'm confused why they would give us this measurement if they didn't want us to use our intelligence. If God didn't want us to use our intelligence to figure out how much blood could this be. I don't think they would have mentioned the distance, and they wouldn't have really mentioned, they would have just said for a distance. They wouldn't have said how far, right? I think everything is symbolic and literal at the same time, right? For example, when Jesus died on the third day, I mean, that represents three, the Trinity. I mean, we could go on all day, right? Everything that happens that God does has a million reasons that it's literal, a million reasons that it's symbolic. It's always both. So there's going to be a group of people in the end times. I'm going to have to just make a new drawing. There's going to be a bunch of people in the city of Jerusalem. That is the best I can do. Maybe I'll draw like a little wall. Okay, there's the wall around Jerusalem. I apologize to anybody who's Israeli. That's a terrible drawing. But okay. Here's the wall. There's going to be a bunch of people inside. Okay, I'm just going to start drawing like little sticks like this. That represents people. I don't know what else to do. And then there's going to be a bunch of people on the outside. And they're going to surround it. I wonder if this is the first sickle. Right here. So, sickle 1. And I wonder I'm fairly certain that this is sickle 2. Because remember, the rapture's already happened at this point in Revelation. The rapture's already happened. We're already into the tribulation. People are already getting the mark, right? So maybe you believe the rapture happens after the tribulation. That would be very strange. I don't know who would believe that. Maybe you don't believe in the rapture. I'll tell you one thing. It doesn't really take away from the fact that there will be people inside Jerusalem that follow Christ and people outside Jerusalem that follow Satan. Notice how people outside of the walls of the holy city, almost like the Bible, the body outside of the spirit, they're part of Satan's team. They're children of Satan, and they get sickle too. Notice the people inside the wall. They're with sickle 1, the Son of Man, Jesus, God, redemption, the soul. I've always felt like there's so many levels to everything. Like you could go on all day. In fact, I wonder if when we go to heaven, if we'll ever stop learning about God's goodness. I think it's infinite how complicated and complex he is. I mean, look at how the city is represented. You have the outside, which is carnal, people who are carnal. You have the inside, which are people who are Jesus, and then people who are followers of Jesus, and then you have Jesus coming down, who's going to just breathe, and he's going to wipe out all the people on the outside. So let's get rid of some of this stuff from this drawing. Okay. I think that we just didn't have enough people to fulfill this prophecy anytime soon. And I think that it's very clear that the end times had to happen after Israel became a country again for so many reasons. Israel is so important in the end times. It has to be a country again. It has to be surrounded by enemies. They have to be trying to rebuild the temple. I could just go on and on and on. There are so many reasons why Israel had to become a country again. That happened in 1958. Okay. Now we need enough people to fulfill this. Guess what happened recently? I mean, not like yesterday, not 2 years ago, but within the past, 100, 200 years. Modern medicine. Vaccines really got popular after like penicillin in the early 1900s. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert in medicine, but after that, there was, a lot of people started coming out with vaccines. They realized, hey, if we kill bacteria, inject it in people, or kill diseases and inject it in people, they build up immunity to it. Okay, if you look at the mortality rates of babies, the graph looks something like this. Actually, that doesn't even do it justice. It looks something like this. Here, let me draw the graph over here. Okay, so this is time. Oh, wait, no. That's population. Okay, so I'll put P for population. And this is T for time. And we're talking like 1,000. And then like, I'll just put 2020. I won't put a dip because I don't want to disrespect anybody who had any sort of issues with COVID. God bless. I know COVID was really hard on people, but realistically, overall, a lot of people are surviving today than they ever were. So let's do like 100 M. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. Let me do like a little bit bigger. 100. You know what? I'm just gonna make a new one. Okay. So here's my graph. So we got T and P, and we got like 100. So this is 100 million people, and this is 1 billion. And then I'll go up to here and do like 10 billion. And then time, this will be like 1,000. And then right here we'll put 2023. Okay. This is what the mortality rate for children looks like. It looks something like this. Shoo! Notice how it shoots up with modern medicine in the 1900s. Look at that. Now we have enough people to fulfill this prophecy. There's a lot of prophecies like this that are starting to come true. I mean, everybody's talking about the Euphrates River, but that's not even a big deal. Israel becoming a country was a big deal. People surviving childbirth more than ever is a big deal. And people speaking Hebrew now is a big deal. I mean, Israel becoming a country again is a big deal, especially for people of Jewish descent. What I'm saying is that it's not a big deal in the scheme of things regarding prophecy and telling us when the end times will be. There is one thing that Israel becoming a country tells us. And there's a common theory that when Jesus spoke of a tree and it's, I think it's grapes or no, it's olives falling from the tree, and then, they get scattered amongst the nations, and then eventually they all get brought back as a mother hen, or I don't know. Okay, I'm butchering it. But he basically brought that along, and he brought that up in one of the Gospels. And they all come back together. So I'm going to draw a little tree. So let me make a new thing. So here's my tree. Okay. And, okay. That's about as good as you guys are going to get. That's not what an olive tree looks like, but just bear with me. Okay, so you got olives everywhere. They get scattered. Okay, they're all over the world. Well, guess what? Now they get brought back together. This is my basket. Okay. All these olives got brought back together. Whatever they are on the tree, I think they're olives. They all got brought back together. And this is now. Jesus said the generation, he said this generation of people will not, let me get rid of that N, will not pass before the end times come. I'll put occur. Okay. So 1958 plus the average amount of life or years that someone lives their life is 2078. Do I know when the end times will be? No. Do I know they'll happen before this? No. But I can theorize. And this is what I theorize. This is what I think. This is a good guess of what. This is as good of a guess as I think you're going to get. I think it's going to happen sometime between this. I think all the evidence points towards it. And I think that it's going to be a battle between the Son of Man and the Son of the Earth. Thanks for joining me, you guys. I'm going to continue to try to increase the quality of these videos. I actually don't have anybody watching my videos right now, but if you do happen across these videos, share your thoughts. Please like and subscribe. And I just want to thank you for your time and let you know that all this is simply my opinion and what I believe. And I am open to discussion or, correction. So just let me know. Thank you. Have a good day.